At exactly 12:17 p.m., during the lunch rush, a bank manager stared at a black man standing calmly at her counter and decided he didn't look like money. Minutes later, she ripped a multi-million-dollar check in half, accused him of fraud, and ordered security to drag him out, while a room full of witnesses watched in silence. What she didn't know was this: the single word spoken next by her superior would end her career, expose an entire institution, and prove that respect given late is just regret wearing a mask. At 12:11 p.m., the lobby of Keystone Trust Bank was packed. Conversations overlapped, screens blinked, pens scratched paper. In the middle of it all stood Malcolm Reed, calm, still, waiting his turn. He stepped to the counter and slid a single check forward. "I'd like to deposit this." The amount made the clerk pause. Her nameplate read Elaine Porter, Branch Operations Manager. She looked at the check. Then she looked at Malcolm. Something in her expression hardened. Not confusion, not caution, but judgment. She let out a short laugh. "This amount requires verification." "That's fine," Malcolm replied evenly. She asked for identification. He provided it. She examined it longer than necessary, asked for another. He handed it over. Then another request: business records, proof of income, source documentation. Each demand was louder than the last, each question framed so nearby customers could hear. People stopped pretending not to listen. Elaine tapped her keyboard, frowned at the screen, then said, "I'll need security." The word landed heavy. A guard approached and stood beside Malcolm, close enough to make the message clear. Elaine's voice rose. "This check raises serious concerns." "Call the issuing company," Malcolm said calmly. "Their verification number is on the memo line." She didn't move. Instead, she lifted the check between two fingers, as if it offended her. "Where did you get this?" she asked. "I earned it," Malcolm said. "From the sale of my company." "What company?" he answered. Explained. Clearly. Precisely. 5 years of work summarized in seconds. The room stayed quiet. Elaine smiled, thin and satisfied. "I'm refusing this transaction." "You're required to provide a written reason," Malcolm said. Her smile vanished. In one deliberate motion, she tore the check down the center. The sound ripped through the lobby. Gasps followed. No one spoke. Elaine tore it again, then again. She stepped around the counter and tossed the pieces at Malcolm's chest. "This is fraudulent," she said loudly. "Escort him out. I'm calling the police." Malcolm didn't move. He didn't bend to collect the pieces. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he asked, "What is your full name?" Elaine scoffed. "You're done here." Malcolm calmly placed the torn pieces into an envelope. He took out his phone, captured the counter, the fragments, the timestamp overhead. At 12:49 p.m., the doors opened. Robert Hale, regional director, walked in. He froze. His eyes locked on Malcolm. The room seemed to inhale all at once. "Mr. Reed," Robert said, voice tight. "Sir." Elaine turned. Her confidence collapsed in real time. "Sir?" she repeated, confused. Robert didn't look at her. "What happened?" She rushed to explain. "Fraud, suspicion, safety, protocol." Robert raised his hand. "Stop." He looked at the envelope, then at Malcolm. "Sir, may we speak privately?" Malcolm didn't budge. "Your employee destroyed my property, accused me of a crime, and humiliated me publicly," he said. "You recognized me after the damage was done." Silence stretched. "I met you at the Innovation Summit last year," Robert said carefully. "Your firm developed the logistics system my company licenses." "Yes," Malcolm replied. "And I walked in here today as a customer, not a keynote speaker." Elaine tried to speak again. Robert turned sharply. "You are relieved of duty. Step away." Her face drained. She backed off, stunned. Malcolm scanned the room, the customers, the guard, the counter where it happened. "Replace the check," Robert said quickly. "We'll make this right." "You can't," Malcolm replied. "And that's the point." He turned to leave. Outside, Malcolm sat in his car for several minutes, hands steady on the wheel. The recording was saved. The photos were clear. The witnesses were real. By evening, his attorney had the file. By morning, regulators did too. Within days, former customers came forward. Same patterns, same justifications, same silence. An internal review uncovered training materials that rewarded suspicion, measured risk by appearance, and labeled people like Malcolm as anomalies. The findings went public. Elaine was terminated and barred from banking. Robert was formally disciplined. The bank paid fines, entered oversight, and funded restitution. Weeks later, Malcolm entered a different institution. He stepped to the counter, presented a check. The clerk smiled. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you?" No pause. No doubt. No performance. Malcolm walked out knowing something had changed. Not just for him, but for the next person who wouldn't have to prove they deserved respect. Because dignity doesn't arrive after recognition. It starts the moment you walk in. Shocked by how that moment unfolded? If this story stirred something in you, don't stay silent. Like and share it so more people see why dignity matters. Comment where you're watching from and what line hit you the hardest. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories where quiet strength wins, power is exposed, and respect is no longer optional, but expected.